Welcome to my video analysis on the short side of golf, using the latest tech down at the World of Golf in New Malden, with Swing Catalyst, Force Plate and the GC2 and HMT. Now what I'm covering today is just to do with the short game. A lot of golfers I see struggle with the half shots, or that sort of 40 to 80 yard range, which is sort of just below a full sand wedge, and below a wedge. So the control is important to try and get the ball as close to the flag as you possibly can. Now a lot of golfers tend to take a full swing up to the top and slow the swing down as they deliver the club back onto the golf ball. Now what we want to try and do is we want to try and make sure that the swing stays ideally the same. So all we've got to do is turn you into what we call a longer putt motion rather than a full swing with a slower swing tempo. We're just going to shorten the backswing. Now most golfers tend to work on what we call the clock system. So if I was to put a clock around me there, and we've got 12 o'clock at the head, we've got 6 o'clock at the feet, and much like a clock we're going to go 9 o'clock and 3 o'clock. Now each time zone will represent a different distance you could potentially hit the golf ball. So as I take my hands back, all I'm really trying to do is I'm trying to load the balance a little bit on the left side just to keep my lower half as still as I possibly can. I'm then taking my hands back to a certain time. Now I'm not too worried about what's happening with the golf club. All I'm concerned with is, are the hands pointing down to 7 o'clock? Are the hands pointing down to 8 o'clock? And am I then going to follow through? So wherever the hands stop will give you a certain distance and hit the ball fairly consistently. You're also going to get a cleaner strike out of it. So for this shot, yeah, you can see I've taken it up just past 9, sort of around 10 o'clock with the hands, which then means I can follow through and hit the ball around 50 yards. And that is how I'd keep the tempo ideal. Now if I was going to hit the ball a little bit shorter, I would then do exactly the same thing with the clock system. I'd make sure that when I'm swinging, my hands again stop at a certain time zone. So you've got to try and make sure that the control is with the hands and not with a golf club. We're not too worried about where the club finishes as such. As long as the hands are comfortable with where they finish. You can see now I've taken the club down a time zone. I've taken it to 9, and I've already halved my distance, my carry distance, in terms of where I've hit the golf ball to. Now that is all we're trying to do. As far as the body's concerned, you want to do as little movement as you possibly can. And then from there, wherever the hands stop, try and follow through to the same time zone on the other side. It's just to keep that tempo and rhythm in the ideal position so that you can get a nice, crisp, clean strike out of the short game. Again, there's no limit as to how short you want to go. If you want to only take it up to 7 o'clock, you might find that you'd only hit the ball a certain distance, maybe even just 5 yards. But 5 yards is enough to get you over that little bit of rough in front of the green and then running up to the hole. I hope this tip works for you. It certainly has for me over the time and on the tour, and it makes it a little bit easier.